Welcome to What's Up in Jeju, where I visit places around the island and talk about what's happening with hashtag Daily K's host, Peter Bent.
Angel, how are you doing?
Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Good morning. You're in the studio. You're not quarantined anymore.
Not anymore. I'm feeling great to be back in the studio.
Did you enjoy being trapped inside your house
Oh
for a
my
week?
gosh. You know what? It didn't even feel like it because I was so sick
Oh no!
that it just felt good to be be at home.
Really?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you? Because you looked fine, and was that just putting on a brave face for us last Friday?
I did. I wanted to be the best for you guys, so
Oh,
I took a
man.
lot of painkillers to be on the show
dear.
last week.
You feeling good now?
Yeah.
You're all over it.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm feeling great.
Today we are going somewhere else in Jeju. Last week was a brilliant start, at least I thought so, going to the Aerospace Museum.
Yes, yes.
Have we got anything to rival that?
Yeah, well, last week was the jam was ended up being very popular.
Yes.
A lot of people were really excited to hear about it and to talk about it. And I was like, oh, dang, I don't want like our second show to be anything less than.
You should have saved it.
Yeah. But today I went somewhere close by to
Okay.
jam. So in that regard, maybe.
Ooh.
But so I went to the Jeju Myths and History theme park. In Korean, it's called Shinhwa Yeoksa Gongwon.
Okay.
And the English translation is Jeju Myths and History Theme Park. So I went there and I was able to land an interview with the manager of project management, the project management department, Mr. Kim Dong-young.
Okay. Does this have like a catchy little acronym like JAM for Jeju Aerospace Museum?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't think so.
Let's try and make one, Angel,
All
right
right,
now. JMHTP. How do
Let's-
we
Jumhutapa.
Jumhutapa. That's not... Well, no, that's terrible, isn't it? Let's not stick with that at all.
Yeah, not quite as catchy as jam.
Okay, all right.
But if you want, we could call it Jumhutapa.
When you say theme park, do you mean like roller coasters, rides, cotton candy, etc., etc.?
Sort of. So I sat down with him, right? And I was like, hi, Mr. Kim. It's so nice to meet you.
Yep.
And he welcomed me to the Jahimetapa.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, so where is it? Where's the park?
Yeah.
Right. And then he was like, so let's sit down. Let's talk about this. Right.
Okay.
So it's not actually a theme park. And he explained it to me. And I do have an audio clip of that.
Okay.
If we can play that.
All right, let's take a listen first.
이제 저희가 처음 이제 2006년도에 이 사업을 시작할 때 이제 전 세계에 있는 신화와 전설 그리고 뭐 문화, 역사 그리고 거기에 포함해서 제주까지 해서 이런 걸 테마로 해서 한번 세계적 수준의 관광단지를 한번 조성해 보자라는 컨셉으로 시작을 했기 때문에 이름을 그렇게 짓게 됐습니다.
Yes. So he explained to us that the project started in 2006. So the wheels started turning then.
Yeah.
And what it is basically, like I mentioned, is a large-scale tourist development project of which, interestingly, JAM, where we went last week, is a part of.
Oh, it's included under this umbrella.
Yes, and the entire project is quite huge. He said that they've only completed about 64% of the entire park. JAM was one of the very first things to get developed.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we can play the image, I have a picture for you, for
Okay.
those of us who are streaming in via
Yeah.
video. And it's divided into 4 parts, districts A, R, H, and J.
So this is, I don't know the scale of this map, but a huge area, because if you're saying one of these things on this map is Jam, and Jam looked pretty big to me last
Right.
time.
So if you want to know where Jam is, the top left part of
Okay.
of the map there, like that triangular kind of piece of land with the building in the middle.
That's the museum.
That is Jam, and Jam was huge.
Yes.
So imagine, look, it's just so massive.
Is this the place that I've seen advertised as Shinhwa something?
Yes.
So there is like a theme park I remember from the photos.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And this is part of a huge project then.
Yes.
Aha.
So I'm going to just briefly tell you what's in each kind of district. So
Okay.
District A is at the very top there on the north side.
Yeah.
And that's where the theme parks are.
Uh-huh.
So you have the Shinhwa theme park, you have the water park that's connected right next door. You have hotels, and then you have like a huge kind of like premium shopping mall. District R, over to the right side, the east side, are condos.
Condos.
Yeah, so
as
they're
in, like people can buy memberships and use them on a regular basis.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and then down on the bottom on the south side is District H, which is still under development. They haven't really put anything there yet. But when they do, they're going to put in luxury villas for rent.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very pretty. And then on the left side, the western side is District J, and that's where Jam is. So you have Jam, the Jeju Aerospace Museum, and then you have the Jeju Aerospace Hotel connected next door.
Oh, there's a hotel like linked to it.
Yes, it's kind of like the same, kind of with the same theme. And then that's where they're going to be bringing in the Shinhwa Historical Park, which is still under development.
Oh, a historical park as well. I'm a little annoyed that they haven't gone in alphabetical order there. It's just ARHJ.
Yeah.
It's not friendly for an acronym either, is it?
ARJ.
Yeah, I'm all about my fun acronyms.
Oh, I'm sorry about
Angel.
today. We don't have any fun acronyms for today.
It's okay, absolutely. Fabulous. Okay, so that project is huge. So I guess if you looked at it, if you came in via helicopter, then you would have seen, oh, this is a huge park. I see what you're talking about. But when
Yeah.
you actually went and sat down with Kim Dong-young, the project manager, maybe it wasn't so apparent. Oh, that's a huge scale
It's
project.
so big. It's so big.
Wow.
So if you go to the Shinhwa theme park and the water park area, and that's where they have like the outdoor shopping plaza.
Yeah.
There's a cafe that from the outside, if you look at it, looks very artistic and very cool and kind of, I don't know, modern, very contemporary
Yeah.
and urban. And it's said that it was designed by G-Dragon.
That's the person
Yeah.
that I thought was like involved when
Yeah,
I first
yeah.
saw adverts for this. Yeah, I see. So there are some K-pop influences, but the Shinhwa thing, Shinhwa means something else other than the K-pop group, right?
Yes. So Shinhwa means myths.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's like kind of where they got the whole, because the whole development project is called the Myths and History Theme Park.
There you go.
So they just named this Shinhwa, which means myths.
That makes sense now,
Yeah.
hopefully, to our K-pop fans. I hope we haven't disappointed too many people
Yeah.
who wanted to see a theme park full of Shinhwa memorabilia.
Oh,
and the
that would be
members
fun, though.
Walking around. Maybe they could do a tie-up one time in the future. No rebranding required. You mentioned we're getting on to part 2 where we're going to talk a bit more about that historical
Yes.
park, which is going to be near Jam, right?
Yes. So it is going to be developed in District J, where Jam is. And he told me, Mr. Kim, the project manager, he told me that the plan is to break ground sometime next year and then open in 2025, 2026, hopefully at the latest.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
So still a few years to go. We've got an interview with him as well. Should we play that first?
Yeah, so in this audio clip and audio 2, we have he tells us, and he kind of explains to us what the park will be about.
Let's take a listen.
지금 이제 저희 계획 수립해서 제주도에 이제 18,000 신이 있다고 하는데 이제 다들 이제 막연하게만 알고 있지 이거를 직접 체험을 한다거나 어린아이들이 봐서 이제 실체를 좀 보는 게끔 할 수 있는 시설이 좀 부족하다 보니까 그런 시설들을 저희가 조금 더 부강해가지고 내년쯤에 이제 본격적으로 진행을 하지 않을까라고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Yes, so that was manager Kim Dong-young telling us about what the park will be about. Jeju Island is said to be it's called the island of 18,000 gods.
18,000?
Yes, 18,000. So I don't think that's the actual number of gods, but it's just to kind of portray of like the number of gods that the Jeju people believe in their religion here.
Wow. So it's, we've talked about religion in bits and pieces here on the show, especially now and then with our professor, Mr. Tizard, and he's talked about like Buddhism, how it used to have a big influence,
Yes.
and then Christianity.
Yes.
And I don't think I could count more than like 5 to 10 gods from those religions combined. But we're talking about like numerous ones in Jeju.
Numerous. So there's like, for example, there's the god of the house, but inside the house too, there's the god of the hearth. the god
Oh.
of the master bedroom, the god of the bathroom, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, so they have a god for everything.
And I noticed Mr. Kim saying that, yeah, you might not learn about them so much when you're on your travels. So
Right.
that's kind of the aim of this new historical park.
Yeah, so the thing with Jeju Island is it's an island, right? So it's disconnected from the mainland, but I think that may be one of the reasons why the island has a very unique culture to the rest of Korea. So anywhere you go on the mainland is kind of like in Korean we call same.
Yeah.
Right? It's very similar, right? The religion's similar, the culture is similar. It's different and unique in the different cities and villages and so on. But Jeju is very unique. It's very different from the rest of Korea. And you can really see that in the tradition of myths and the religion here.
So what is, I'm really curious, the creation myth
Yes.
of Jeju?
We have a creation myth of our very own.
Ooh.
And I wanted to share that with you because it's always a very interesting thing to hear of how the people think or believe that their land was created.
Yeah, I'd like it to feature a tangerine or maybe
Oh.
a harabong, like Jeju came out of a giant one of those.
Well, no.
gonna disappoint me.
Unfortunately. Oh, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Peter. It does not include citrus fruit.
Okay, it could be even better though.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. So the story goes like this. At the beginning of time, there was a large and all-powerful being called 설문대 할망.
Okay.
And let me just pause here to say that there are several creation myths. Like in many countries you go to, you'll find that there are different variations of the creation myth.
Yeah.
But this happens to be just one of the more well-known or popular ones.
Does harmang mean like grandma?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jeju also, just quick side note, Jeju has their own dialect.
Yeah.
So if you travel around Korea, you'll notice that people speak Korean in very different accents, right? And I think in any country you go, it'll be similar.
Sure.
But in Jeju, they have their very own dialect, but it's not considered the Jeju dialect. It's actually called the Jeju language because it's so vastly different from the actual, mainstream Korean. Yeah. So 할망 means grandmother.
Okay.
And her name is 설문대.
All right.
And she was the tallest and most powerful deity in the world.
Wow.
One day, however, she decided that she didn't want to live on the mainland and she didn't want to live on anybody else's land and she wanted her own. So she decided to create her very own land, a country where she could claim as her own home.
Ooh.
So she carried moundfuls of dirt and mud from the mainland, from underneath the water, underneath the ocean, and she carried it and she put it all into her apron and her skirt.
Okay.
And she carried it into the middle of the ocean and she dumped it there and she was forming it with her hands. She was molding the land.
Oh.
And as she was doing so, dirt and rocks fell through the holes of her tattered apron.
Oh.
And that was said to have created the small hills that you see all over the island. So if you ever see like an aerial view of Jeju Island, you'll notice that it's actually very hilly. And it's not like rolling hills. It's just like very spontaneous and random
Yeah.
kind of cones.
Now we know why.
Yes. And those are actually called odum. They have a name and they're small volcanic hills that were created when, the Halasan erupted.
Yes.
So those are called odum and there are 360 of them all across the island.
Wow.
And she created a large mountain in the very center of the island, which we know today to be Halasan Mountain.
Why did she do that?
And she created because she wanted a place where she could lay her head to rest.
So she's pretty big.
She's huge.
Wow.
Her head reached past the clouds in the sky and her feet reached to the bottoms of the ocean.
I don't mean to nitpick, but Jeju Island seems a bit small for a giant deity of that size.
Right. It was basically her pillow.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So as time went on, her spirit was absorbed into the great Mount Halasan.
Oh.
And she saw the people living on the land, but it was too rocky and the soil was not fertile.
No.
So what she decided to do was decided to sacrifice her body to fertilize the land. So she gave up her flesh to make the land fertile
Wow.
and to make it thrive.
Wow, she sacrificed herself
Yes,
in a way.
yes. And today, and her spirit was absorbed into the Mount Halasan. So today, it is said that her spirit watches over all the island from the top of the mountain. And there's also a saying amongst the elders of Jeju, and it says, Halasan is our mother, and the Odom are our sisters.
Oh, that's lovely. I don't know. I kind of get Hawaii vibes
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah,
like
right?
Appreciating the land and the mountains.
Yeah,
and things
exactly.
Like this. Very different on Jeju. I think you have maybe erased the subject of geology. Raul has said, now we know. Take that, geology.
Yeah.
The explanation of how the random hills and cones have been formed is way better than erosion and
Yes.
volcanic eruptions. They fell through the tattered apron of that deity.
It's more beautiful, I think,
Well,
if you
why-
think of it that way.
If she's a deity, why doesn't she have a nice apron without
That was my
holes in
question
it?
too, right? So I always wondered about that, but I figured she was a agricultural goddess,
Uh-huh.
perhaps, and
Getting her
and-
hands
Mhm,
dirty.
always working in the land.
Okay.
So maybe she was in her work clothes.
Not into like fast fashion and buying a new apron
Probably not.
every month.
No.
Brilliant stuff. And Tropic Girl K just asking, when you say, you call the Jeju dialect a language, is it officially recognized as such, like a separate language
Yes.
from Korean?
No, so it's not it's not considered a separate language from Korean.
Yeah.
But when people talk of it, they speak of it. It's not like Jeju 사투리, right? 사투리 means dialect.
Yeah.
Right. They call it Jeju-어, so the Jeju language. And it's actually kind of sad because it's a dying language. It's mostly spoken by the older generation. So there's been this giant movement on the island to try and keep it alive by teaching it to the next generation.
Yeah, that's always tricky, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because the youngsters and getting exposed to like mainland culture way more
Yeah.
than in the past is kind of inevitable.
Yes,
That that will happen. I get the same feeling with like British English. There's a lot of American phrases that are
Yeah.
kind of coming in, but it's a natural kind of evolution at the same time. We've got some cool photos to show, and the maybe funnest part of this
Yeah.
whole giant park to talk about in part 3.
Right. So I saved this for the last part because it was just really exciting to be there. And it's one of my favorite places to take the kids.
Nice.
And, even if I didn't have kids, I think I would, enjoy going by myself. But it's the Shinhwa theme park and the water park right next door.
Do you have to pay like an exorbitant fee to go into the theme park?
No, so that is the best part about Shinhwa theme park, not the water park. Admission is free.
Oh, wow. So you
Yeah.
can get in and see the
Yes.
like characters and parades and
Yes.
rides.
So if you're looking at our video, if you're streaming in via video,
Yeah.
you can see that's my son.
Uh-huh.
That's my baby boy.
Aw.
He is joining in on the parade and saying hello to one of the characters there.
And that's free to do.
Yes, it's absolutely free to get inside.
So you can't go on the rides for free though.
No, so admission is free, but you have to pay for the rides.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which isn't too bad for an all-day pass.
Are there many rides in there?
I would say there were maybe about 15 to 20.
Okay, so
Yeah.
relatively big.
So Mr. Kim told us that the entire area has not been developed, the entire theme park. So the plan is for 8 zones or 8 areas of the theme park, of which only 3 have been developed.
Wow.
And the 3 that have been developed are more geared towards younger children and just children like maybe elementary school age.
Okay.
Right, but they do have roller coasters, and they have virtual reality games.
Nice.
That's so fun. I love
Wow,
it.
That sounds awesome. And then this next picture, it looks like it's getting towards evening time and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, so every evening they have some sort of show. Let's see, Sunday through Thursday they have a light show, which is actually quite spectacular because it's set to music and it's very beautiful. And then if you happen to end up going on a Friday or Saturday, they have fireworks show.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like a good fireworks show. Not great for the environment, but great for my eyes. So
Yes,
that's
and
okay.
just great to be in that setting. Yeah.
Fabulous. And we've got one more audio clip to play,
Yes.
Angel. Okay, why don't we get to that before we run out of time?
Right. But before we do, let me just say, this is the answer to the question that I had asked him. If someone only had 1 hour to experience the entire Jeju Myth and History theme park, the Jemehetepa, what would you recommend?
Oh, this is like your trademark
Yeah.
question. I love it. Okay, let's give it a play.
일단은 여름 기준으로 태원파크에서 돌아다니시면서 열심히 땀 흘리고 워터파크 가서 딱 씻고 가시는 게 딱 좋은 것 같아요.
1시간 안에?
1시간 안에.
그게 가능할까요?
네, 많이 안 넓기 때문에 딱 1시간 안에 즐기실 수 있을 것 같아요.
Yeah, so I thought his answer was hilarious.
Ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said if you're coming in the summer, what he recommends is taking a quick walk around the theme park and then jumping in the pools at the water park to cool off, all within an hour.
Wow.
And it's just so funny because I don't think that would be quite possible.
Be my nightmare as a parent trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe if you were
Maybe.
feeling ambitious.
It looks spectacular. We're seeing like a sky view here in the next photo, and that's going to be more developed in the future. Their plans are to rival the big theme parks up here in Seoul and in Yongin.
Right. So once all 8 zones are developed and opened, it will rival Everland.
Wow,
In
that's a
Yongin.
big statement. I'm
Yep.
looking forward to seeing how that goes in the future. Angel, thanks for taking us somewhere fun again this
For
week.
sure, for sure.
Some weeks it will be maybe less exciting, more interesting and intriguing, but we look forward to you traveling all over the
yes.
island.
Yes.
Have a wonderful weekend,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next Friday.
See you next week. What's Up in Jeju is supported by JDC, which is creating a free international city that resembles nature, embraces the future, and reaches the world.
Arirang Radio.